it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Box to Box. Hope you're all good, hope you're all well. Hit that like button first and foremost. Premier League action is back underway. Football's back underway for Arsenal. Obviously, we're out of the FA Cup, so we had a weekend break, a Dubai break, where we've come back a lot more broken than we went in. With Havertz now out for the rest of the season, leaving us threadbare in attack. But Box to Box is more about the opposition than it is about us. So I'm going to welcome Neil to the channel from Beyond the 90 LCFC. Go show Neil and his channel some love in the description, in the title. But it's easy, Beyond the 90 LCFC. Neil, how you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, man. Apart from football, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes because Leicester are in a pretty big mess at the moment. Maybe not as, maybe even worse than Arsenal. But yeah, we're not in a good place, to be honest.
What do you put that down to?
Oh, I wish there's so many different elements of it. I think, first of all, it's the kind of the board management, the way the club's been mismanaged, basically. I mean, we went from the likes of Enzo Maresca. We thought we were building something new. And then he went to Chelsea, fair enough. And then we went and appointed Steve Cooper, which even from a neutral from the outside, you're thinking, what's that? I had people from the Championship going, why have you gone and done that? Yeah. I was willing to give him time and back him. And it just, as you found out in the reverse fixture, it was calamitous. I was looking at the stats before. I think it's like the ninth most shots ever conceded in the game. But yeah, we were calamitous. We got rid of him. Then we got him Rude. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to back Rude. But then the board haven't backed Rude with transfers. They brought in one transfer, which was like £2 million or something. So there are problems. We've got Deadwood. The culture's unfortunately died away at the club. So I wish it was one problem. There is just problems. And we'll probably get onto later. There will be protests ahead of the game as well.
So talk to me a bit, because listen, when it comes to Leicester, I haven't kept my finger on the pulse, and I'm not too sure how it's got to this stage. But there was a stage where the ownership was, looked up at and, revered and loved, and they was very much connected to the club. Obviously, the tragedy happened when it happened, but post that, it did seem like they were still very connected, and it's, they wanted to fix it. But what's happened for it to get to the stage where now you're talking about protests on the horizon?
The thing is, we still love our owners and what they've done, because he's still writing off. The problem is just board management mismanaged. You will see Rudkin mentioned. You'll see Susan Wheeler, who's the CEO. Rudkin is pretty much one of the most hated people in Leicester at the moment. We don't pay that much in terms of actual transfer fees, but I'll give you a perfect example. Yannick Vestergaard, getting on for 32 years old, we thought he was going to end, had one season of Championship, did really well. Give him a 3-year contract. And we were going, well, 1 year, 2 year, why 3? And there's been loads of these signings, and the signings that we ended up getting have gone on for free. We talked about Yuri Tillemans has gone for free. Suyuncu, we paid loads of money. Ayoze Perez, £30 million, gone. So the actual running of the club, not recruitment-wise, there is no identity really of what we're doing. Enzo Maresca is a different manager to Steve Cooper, but then we tried to bring another manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and they've not backed him. So we don't really know where we stand, and it's just an awful club feeling, and it's not the owner specifically. He's been because obviously his sons took it over. He hasn't got the same pragmatism and business mind as his dad, and that's not to rag on him too much, but he needs to get other people that know what they're doing, because at the moment, this is the first time, and we've loved our ownership, but there's been genuine problems where we've come up. We should have never got relegated in the first place. Then we looks like we're going to get relegated again, and we're just seeing the same signs. And we as fans, we're just going, well, we need answers. And the club have this thing of they just don't speak to the fans at all.
Ruud was looked at as a shrewd appointment, but there's been murmurs that he wasn't happy or isn't happy with how January came and went, promises made. There must be truth to that from what you're saying then.
Well, yeah, if you don't believe what I'm saying, look at the number of players we signed in January. There is rumours, if we go back to the Championship, that the EFL, because they've already got a sanction on us, so we won't be able to sign any more players. We've only made one signing, and that signing was a right back from Parma, Serie 2 side, Serie B side. And from our perspective, we're going, is that it? Now, if you compare that to Ipswich, who've made 5 signings of like Philogene, they've made some really good sides. The goalkeeper's a fault. They've signed a new one just to give them a fighting opportunity. Even Southampton, that are, let's be honest, everybody thinks they're getting relegated this season, have made 5 signings. We've made 1. And our defence, what we've played, has been the same defence that got us relegated. So we're going, well, it looks like we're on for relegation once again.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the table and I look at that bottom four, Wolves included, some way off the pack above. So it does look like, the three of the current four will be gone. With Wolves probably looking best equipped to get out of it. I don't know how you feel.
I'd love to say us. And the thing is, we have the play like Wolford and Diddy's coming back. Hermansen, as you saw from the last game, how many times he bailed us out. He's come back into the squad now. Hopefully that will help. But then again, he came in against Everton. Everton battered us 4-0 quite comfortably. And they took their foot off the gas, to be honest with you, and they had a load of injuries. So I'm hoping it's us, but I've got a chance that I think we're probably, with 60% chance, I think we're going down. But we've got a few people back, so there's a little bit of hope. However, there is a really bad feeling around the club at the moment. I'm normally an optimistic guy, but at the moment, there is very little to be positive about. And it's mainly not even the attack. There are some good players in attack, wingers maybe not as much, but defence, he's pretty much playing the same team that got us relegated. And again, as you know, to win titles or to stay in the Premier League, it starts with the defence.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess if he was to be relegated, then Ruud's role as manager probably goes with that.
Let's see. Again, I'm not sure what his next role is, but I'd love for him to stay. But the next thing we've got to do is make sure we're safe. I don't think we are going to be, but again, let's play that, because if that comes, we're in a whole hell of problems, because transfer embargoes, wages will have to be slashed. Club has got to go through some strict sanctions. It's not going to be good. And that's why we thought in the January, okay, a new manager's come in, give him the backing opportunity to get the players and really push him up. He mentioned, I think in the press conference at the BBC, going, have you got the transfers? And he said, yes. No other words. He mentioned yes. And he got one in. And this isn't the first time. Brendan Rodgers was lied to. Enzo Maresca in January was promised funds and he wasn't. Steve Cooper got the backing, but unfortunately got too much backing to the point where Ruud doesn't have any. So again, there's mismanagement from across the board, unfortunately. And we just need a restructure, because where we're going, it's not fun.
Unlucky in the FA Cup. I mean, last minute Maguire goal. Ruud against his former club he played for. And now he plays the club that, were his main rivals during his time playing in the Premier League. So there's an extra incentive there for him, I guess. You mentioned that hopefully Ruud does stay on. Does that mean you've seen something in Ruud, or you've heard something from Ruud that makes you believe he might be the guy? Not that anyone ever knows, but, you got a feeling of what type of man he is, character, philosophy, etc.
I really like Ruud. Of all the people that are at fault, Ruud's probably the least. The problem is he hasn't got the quality of player to conduct his plan. He's working with a squad that is, majority of it is pretty much Championship. If he gets us out, it will be him. And there's a lot of it'll do. It'll do. We'll get him one transfer. It'll do. Ruud needs backing, but I quite like him as a manager. He is still naive at times. At the end of the day, he come against David Moyes. David Moyes knows the Premier League inside out. Showed him what to. He's playing a high line, and we got absolutely smashed. There is still problems, but with a young manager, you give them time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I don't blame Ruud as much. He comes across really well. He's very direct, not just in terms of play, but also in terms of the way he comes across to the fans. And the fans really like him. The problems lie elsewhere in the actual squad itself, and how much wages they're on, and also the board.
All right, cool. Well, it'll be an interesting one for us, because obviously, what's happened with Havertz, Martinelli, Saka's already been out, Jesus out from January after that United FA Cup exit. So we're going in light. I think light is an understatement. Do you see an opportunity here? Is it a game that you see nothing in, and if you get something, it's better than nothing? Or how do you approach this game now? You're looking at Arsenal, weak offensively but stacked defensively.
Yeah, and that's our problem is the reverse. Jamie Vardy's always got something in him, but I think our defence is relatively weak. Okoli played quite well. In terms of Arsenal, I think you should still be looking for 3 points at the end of the day, from where you're at. And we are a weakened team, and we're in a really frail position. I think you need to capitalise on it. For me, I feel better that, again, so a lot of your attack is out. However, a lot of the attack was out against Everton. We still lost 4-0. So I'm hoping that we get something from the game. I'm not too confident in it, though. I hope that Ruud works his magic, but I'm not feeling too confident.
What about key threats? I see Vardy is the top scorer in the league. Surprise, surprise. But even that's surely something that you would have hoped to have not fixed, because Vardy is a Premier League legend. I'd call him a Premier League legend for sure. And a legend in English football as well for the way he came up. But surely by now you would have expected someone else to have that mantle and Jamie Vardy to be adding the sauce or the sprinkle of salt on top of what that new attacker's bringing. But the stats don't lie. He is your top scorer, 7 goals in the league. Is that, if I was to ask you the key threat for Leicester, would you say Vardy or?
Vardy's missed a few opportunities. However, it's a kind of testament to him, or again, was mentioned before, we've never brought in a striker that was as good, and we've spent big money. Islam Slimani, we've mentioned Ahmed Musa's tried to come in.
Oh, yeah.
Patson Daka came in for a lot of money. I thought, this is the guy. It's never happened. At the moment, again, we talk about transfers as well. We bought in Odds and Edouard, not even played 28 minutes like as a cameo. I mean, he's on like 90 grand a week from what we hear. So it's just a blatant mismanagement. But that's a credit also to Jamie Vardy and how well he's produced season after season. Because as you know, the game moves so quickly and different tactics come in. And Jamie Vardy was seen as a player that can only do one thing, that runs off the shoulder. But as you're seeing, his intelligence, his ability to drop back, play, bring in other people into the game, I think is great, but he is starting to lose some of his pace now. It's who we surround him with. And I think another player to look out for from Leicester is we've got this attacking midfielder called Bilal Khanous, who's looked brilliant, especially under Rude, has really got the best out of him. He's linked up quite nicely with Vardy, but also he just pulls the strings, and from an attacking perspective, he's looking great. Jamie Vardy will still do bits, but his legs aren't what they used to be. So he's still a threat, but he's not a threat as he used to be. But hopefully the players around him will try and bring him in as well.
Yeah, I can understand. And a personal joke, I want to get a question in, because me and Robbie been going back on the year you signed Daka. I said, look, even Leicester's got a better backup striker than us. Daka's better than Eddie. Mm-hmm. 3 years on, here we are. I just want to ask you, if Crystal Palace called you and said, yo, Neil, we've got Eddie, you've got Daka, straight swap. How do you feel about that? Would you say yes or no?
I'd say it. I'd say so, because he's got Premier League experience. Daka, he's tried in the Championship, and Enzo really tried, but I think unfortunately his game is run. I want him to improve, and there is a player there, but he's only got one kind of finishing and one kind of move, which is knock it long and then just blast it. He's missed so many opportunities for us, and I was backing him for the longest time because there was a player there. He scored 4, I think, when we were playing in the Europa League. Again, that was that was how many years ago? It was only a few years ago, but
3 years ago, two and a half.
Yeah, from that, and then that squad got relegated, and there's just been problems. But again, with Patson Daka, I would swap him for Eddie Nketiah, definitely. I think he's I've tried it with. I just don't think the Premier League works for him. I'd love to be proven wrong and he saves us this season, but I just don't think. I think he'll go to another league and smash it. But as you know, sometimes this league, it chews and spits out players, and I just don't think the league's for him.
Yeah, 1 goal between them this season, So yeah, scraping the bottom of the barrel. But Robbie will like that. I'll let him know that you said you would swap them. Look at Arsenal then, Neil. Who's the biggest threat coming in to the King Power? Who do you feel like you need to keep quiet on that Arsenal side to get anything from the game?
Oh, it's a tough one. Because normally it's obviously the attacking players. I think from what you mentioned before, I think it's going to be corners. I think we're not too good at defending corners. It's going to be Saliba. It's going to be attacking, because we have looked okay, but last time I think Hermansen was saving everything, and I can't expect him to do it again. So I don't think it will be players coming up for corners. And I think some of the corners that were put in, either guilt as opportunities were missed from you, or Hermansen pulled off a blinded save. And I don't think the same thing is going to happen again, because we can't expect it to make 17 saves or something ridiculous in that game.
Yeah, he was a monster that game. I can't even lie. It just felt like one of those games were coming up against a brick wall. But yeah, listen, overall, generally, I like Leicester. I hope you do stay up. It is looking quite, ominous. I can't lie to you. Wolves are probably best equipped for it, but it's still tight. It's still all to play for. And more often than not, this time of the season is when the teams in the relegation battle start picking up, surprise points here, surprise wins there. And hopefully, as an Arsenal fan, it doesn't start this Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if we drop points, considering how blunt our attack is. But I do agree with you. I think our set pieces should be enough to get through the game. I'll highlight Gabriel as the one to look out for there, but Saliba obviously a big presence too. All right, Neil, straight question: are you staying up this season?
No.
No. Okay,
I'd
fair.
love to
Fair,
be
fair.
wrong. I genuinely
Yeah.
want to be wrong, but I don't see us staying up this season.
Are you gonna? Do you think you'll put up a fight for it, or do you think you'll just go out with a whimper?
The problem is our team's it's too ebb and flow. You need to be consistent, and we haven't showed that consistency. The only consistent run we went on was like 7 losses in a row. That's not good enough. And even for Rude, it wasn't his fault specifically, and because he had to pick up a load of pieces. But I don't say it's staying up. I'd love to, but I don't really see it.
All right, cool. Well, give us your prediction. You're the home team, so you start off with a prediction, and I'll follow.
Say 3-1 Arsenal, but I'd love for it to get a 2-2 draw, but I'd say 3-1. My gut is telling me 3-1.
Yeah, I actually predicted 2-2 across the board and over a couple shows, but I'm going to lean 2-1 on this one. You've given me extra hope that, Leicester haven't got nothing for us on Saturday. But famous last words as well, Neil. Will you be at the game?
Fortunately, I'm actually down in London going to see a friend for his birthday, but I'd usually be at the game. But yeah, it's one of those ones. But I think last time we met, but hopefully, well, let's say if we stay up and then hopefully we'll come down for the next one.
Yeah. Hopefully we speak again, Neil. Hopefully we speak again. This is Neil's debut on Box to Box, people. So that means Beyond the 90 LCFC have never appeared on this channel. So go show them some love. Make sure you subscribe. Hit up the like buttons over there on that channel too. Neil, where else can they find you across socials?
You can find us on Twitter, X, whatever people call it nowadays. Beyond the 90 LCFC, Instagram as well. But yeah, Turkish, thanks for having me, man.
No worries, brother, man. Thank you for giving us your time. There you go, people. Beyond the 90 LCFC, Instagram, X, Twitter, like you said, whatever you call it. And obviously, most importantly, YouTube. It's in the description, people. So go show Neil some love. He's gone for 3-1 Arsenal. I've gone for 2-1 Arsenal. We've both tempted fate with 2-2. Let us know your predictions in the comment section below. Leicester fans, if you're here, key threats. Arsenal fans, if you're here, who's our key threats? It's looking bleak in attack at the moment. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Love for the love as always, people. We're out. Peace.